So get this in the fridge, right? And a little while later, it's time to turn it over. What do? You go boink. You know, that's pretty easy now, isn't it? All right, let me just rinse off my hand and get this into the fridge to marinate for 20 minutes. Actually, since it's only got 20 minutes, you know what? I'm not going to put it in the fridge. But if you were going to be able to let it sit for a couple of hours or overnight, of course, you should put it in the fridge. But one way to speed up marination is to do it at room temperature. Okay, on to our artichoke salad with lemon garlic vinaigrette. So we're going to head down here. And by the way, you should get your grill pan heating up the way I have. Okay, we've got a call from Susan. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. This is in the realm of having a budget meal after the holiday. I'm faced with a 4-pound boneless ham and 2 people, and I think that's defined as eternity. And I really cannot deal with the scallop potato business.
Yeah.
So I need some help from you or other listeners on alternatives.
Okay, well, let me say, first of all, I think you could freeze some of it. That would be fine. You know, because I don't know about you, but sometimes when you've had something and then it's the next day, this is particularly true at Thanksgiving, I'm sick to death of turkey. I don't want to eat it the next day and the next day and the next day and the next day. So for starters, what I would do is cut it up and freeze it. And it will dry out a little bit, but it won't be the end of the world. And then when you come back, you could do, you could use it in frittatas. You know, cut it into portions so it's manageable, and wrap it really well so it doesn't get freezer burn. But you could use it in frittatas. You know, those are the thick Italian baked omelets, so the Italians would hate it to be called an omelet. You could use it. We had our famous ham salad the other day, which was absolutely wonderful. And you could use it actually in a hash style thing. We'll see maybe we'll get some suggestions from other people.
So basically freeze it in portions that 2 people could use, either ground or
right
in some other metamorphosis.
Right, and then forget about it for about a month. And then you'll be happy to see it again. You know, and they'll be like, "Oh, ham, what a great idea."
Right.
Yeah.
I'll be able to afford it after my income tax.
Right. This is true. Okay. Thanks for calling. I don't know how helpful I was. I was also thinking about artichokes, but. All right, let me tell you about artichokes. It's the season. It's the peak of the season. They're available from March through May. There's a second season which happens in the fall, but this is the big one. So they're plentiful and they're affordable, which is why we picked them tonight, because sometimes people see artichokes as being expensive. Now, the good news is one serving is only 25 calories and contains vitamin A, C, calcium, magnesium, and iron. Now, small artichokes are really good for pickling, stews, salads, roasting, and casseroles. And medium and large artichokes are good for dipping and stuffing. Now, what's great about the small guys, as you've noticed, I've gotten sort of further down. You get down to I've just been pulling the leaves off. By the way, these are not technically really baby artichokes. It depends on where they grow on the plant. If you've ever seen an artichoke plant, it's quite a intimidating thing. It's this big, it looks like a creature from outer space. And on the top are the really big artichokes, and then down towards the bottom and the sides are the little artichokes. And these are as big as these guys get. And they're great, though. I like them all. I never met an artichoke I didn't like, and kids happen to like them. We're going to cut off the stem because it looks a little bit past its prime, but I'll show you how you can trim with the other one. I'm going to take the green part off of here, too. You want to get down to the green part. But the cool thing about these little guys, and I better get on because they have to cook, so I'm going to throw those on, the ones we already did, and then you want to keep them with some acidulated water so they don't turn color. The thing that's great about them, you can eat all the way down. You can eat those baby leaves. This was a big artichoke. We couldn't be eating those leaves. You'd have to get all the way down to the heart. And hopefully soon, one of these days, since we're in the heart of the season, no pun intended, we'll do a big artichoke too. People should not be scared of artichokes. They're absolutely delicious, and they're naturally sweet. So I'm going to just show you how to trim the second one quickly. And we're covering this with cold water. Let me just get it all the way done. And then let me give it a little more. I'll put a little salt in. And we're going to put a plate on to keep these guys from floating too much, because they come right to the top, as you can see. Sort of like Sammy's matzo balls. By the way, we made floaters, not sinkers. That was Sammy's preference. Okay, so down that goes. I'm turning this up to high. I'm just very quickly going to show you how to do this again. You see I've got salt on me. You just take the leaves down till you get to the bottom. This would be a fun thing to do with the kids. You have to get the whole family involved. And we're going to simmer these until they're just tender. And the way they feel is you put a knife in, and there's a little bit of resistance. All right, so if you want to keep this bottom part on, which has plenty of yummy flavor also, what you do, see this light green part, is you just go down like that, and trim to the end, down like that, and has a very pretty presentation, and you know, that people will like. And this is such yummy stuff. Now I've got Ruthie so well trained, when I make a big artichoke, she makes me keep the stem on. Okay, I'm going to trim this last guy. When we come back, we're going to do couscous with pistachios, scallions, and currants. Welcome back to our budget cook-along week, our first night being Tunisian-inspired, and this truly is Tunisian-inspired, which is couscous with pistachios, scallions, and currants. First of all, what is couscous? It's granular semolina. It's made from semolina flour, which is a product of durum wheat, but it is not dried pasta. If you try to just boil your couscous, it will turn into a porridgey mess. Now, nearly all that commercially sold couscous, whether it's labeled instant or not, is virtually all the same, since it's factory-made couscous and it's partially pre-cooked. Couscous is also the name given to the Middle Eastern dish where the couscous is cooked with various meats, fruits, and spices according to what part of the country it came from, and served with a broth. It's a very homey, nice dish. So we're going to start with, we've been heating up 1.5 cups of chicken broth. There we go. It's not quite up there. It was a second ago. Meanwhile, we're still heating up our pan. And that's with 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to add, we got to get this up to a boil first, and then you add your couscous and just pull it off and let it sit for a little while. In the meantime, let me plump my currants. What I've got here is 1/2 cup of currants, and I'm going to add some water to it and just let it sit for 15 minutes. We're just resuscitating them. And that was very hot water we just added. There we go. Okay, and we're going to check. I know my artichokes aren't anywhere, so I'm not even going to look at them. All right, this came up to a boil. Now I'm going to add my couscous. This is a great, I mean, most of us have already discovered couscous. I don't think it's anything new to you all either, because A, it's delicious, B, it's versatile, and C, it takes no time at all. This just takes about 5 minutes of sitting time to come together, and that way you have it for dinner. A few little points I forgot to make before. First of all, remember we have, I'm going to get the flank steak on, we have Michael Green coming on. He's my buddy. He knows a ton about wine. He's going to talk about budget wines tonight. And the good news is there's lots of good ones out there. I'm going to pat this dry. It'd get like a whopping 10 minutes. If you can hold on a little longer with yours, do. And the other thing I wanted to tell you was about artichokes, that they have something in them, and Michael and I are going to talk about this when he comes on, that doesn't go well with wine. It's called cynarin, and it's an organic acid that's unique to artichokes. And what it does is it stimulates the sweetness receptors in the taste buds, so it makes foods that follow artichokes taste sweeter. It does the same thing to wine. Artichokes are very hard to pair with wine. So that was one of the things I wanted to tell you. The other thing I want to tell you is regarding the marinade, don't be literal about the ingredients we gave you. If you can't get sherry, just leave it out. If you can't get fresh herbs, just use dried herbs. Or if they are more affordable for you, just don't worry about it. Okay, I'm going to reseason this and get it on the grill pan, which looks to be very, very hot. Here we go. A little pepper. You could make it, probably me, knowing me, I'd make it even spicier. You see that little yellow color sort of around the edges? That's from the turmeric. Understand the turmeric is also very helpful in digestion. And it's used often in Indian recipes. Okay, we've got a call from Jeffrey. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Fine.
I'm down here in Key West, Florida. The weather's gorgeous.
Oh, well, actually, I can say the weather's pretty gorgeous here, too.
You're in New York, right?
Yes, but it's been debatable,
Well, I was at the market shopping this afternoon and ended up picking up a flank steak.
Oh, you did?
It was marinating in my refrigerator.
Okay.
And turned on the TV, and there you are with flank steak, so I felt compelled to call.
Now, what are you doing with yours?
Well, tonight I take it, and I never score it. I never tried that. I'm going to do that the next time. I am a professional, too, so we have that in common.
Okay.
So what I do, I use a lot of we have a large Cuban community here, and we grow these sour oranges that are just wonderful, and they have a lot of juice in them, and I squeeze that and use that in place of a vinegar or a lemon juice. And then I use cumino and coriander and some fresh cilantro and garlic, and also the soy sauce. Got to have that little bit of soy sauce in there. And I let it marinate maybe a couple hours and grill it maybe 2-3 minutes on each side, and that's it.
That sounds delicious. Do you want to explain? You said cumino?
Cumin.
Cumin. Okay,
Cumin.
You're just using the Cuban word for it,
Yes,
huh?
cumino.
Okay. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Those. What are those? What's the word for those sour oranges?
You know, I don't know.
It's something like naranja.
Well, naranjas is orange in Spanish.
Let me just pause for a second.
Taste that artichoke.
And say we're almost there, but not quite.
I did asparagus tonight, which I'm going to saute with a little garlic.
Also delicious with it.
And you're doing a garlic lemon vinaigrette. I'm doing a mustard lemon vinaigrette.
See, we're on the same page.
On the same wavelength, huh?
Yeah.
I'm doing watercress, beautiful little vine-ripe tomatoes and red onions.
Gee, I hope you're having somebody over for dinner.
Yeah, we have 4 of us for dinner.
Great. Thank you for calling.
Thanks for
being there. That was good. You got me through a boring moment. See, this is almost done. It's just a little bit, I guess we can see this, right? Can we see this? There we go, yeah. It's just a little undercooked right there, so we're going to keep going. But isn't that pretty? And you can see it doesn't have the hairy choke that the bigger guys do, so you really can eat the whole thing. Okay, I'm going to give these guys some stripes. Here's my grill pan. And what you do is you just turn it and put it, of course I'm ready to cough because we've got all this pepper in there. I think we'll go to break because I'm going to start coughing. We'll see you in just a second. Welcome back to Cooking Live. My artichokes are now done. And we're just going to get them out. And while they're hot, I'm going to make the marinade and get it on them. Not marinade, dressing, but same thing. You always, when you're going to add a flavor like this, it's great if you can do it while the item is still hot. Meanwhile, I turn my steaks again, and as I said, I'm cooking them rare, so we want to get them off fairly soon. You could cook them more well done. I wouldn't take them beyond medium. I just wouldn't. It's going to be tough. So there we go. Let me just give these guys, we're doing another crisscross. I just got to keep downwind of the whole thing to make sure that I don't start coughing again. Trying not to breathe. There we go. All right. So for our dressing here, for the artichokes, we've got 3 cloves of garlic. And I'm going to add a little salt as always. 4 tablespoons of fresh lemon juice. 3 tablespoons of chopped parsley. And 3/4 of a cup of olive oil. Now this is all going to go on the artichokes. If you're wondering, like I am, wow, there's a lot of oil in this menu. The thing about a marinade or a dressing is it's not like you eat the whole dressing. This is just going to go over and flavor them, but it's not like you're going to eat, 4 people are not going to have 3/4 of a cup of olive oil. And this is extra virgin, but if you don't have extra virgin, you could certainly use vegetable oil. We've got other good flavorful things in here. And let me just tell you, you saw those wine bottles a minute ago. If you just tuned in, in which case you were very bad, you should have been watching from the beginning. Let me just say the reason you saw those is because it's our budget cook-along, and not only are we cooking a budget meal for 4 people for under 20, but we're going to have my friend Michael Green on to talk about budget wines, and there's lots of them out there. That's the good news. So here goes our marinade over the warm artichokes. Oh boy, that looks good. And I've got a call from Susan. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Sarah.
I'm going to go down here and fluff up my couscous while we talk.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just wondering, is there something else you can do with the artichokes?
You know what's interesting about that? What I would do is what I would do with asparagus peelings. Now I'm just fluffing this up, to see how nice it's looking, which is I might simmer them in a little bit of chicken broth to pick up some flavor. And then you've got a chicken broth that's been, or water, you can make a vegetable stock and then use it as a base for an artichoke soup. But other than that, the little guys, they're tough. So there's really not too much you can do. With the big guys, have you cooked up big artichokes? Ever?
Yeah.
Okay, the big guys, the big artichoke leaves, you just eat that little bit of, yummy stuff that's the end of each one. But when they're that little, there's nothing on them. Mm-hmm. They're just plain old tough leaves. So I would make an infused liquid to use later on. Okay?
If you could you freeze the leaves to make a stock later on?
Sure. I mean, I know lots of people who keep sort of ongoing vegetables in their freezer for future, stocks.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, my currants are going in. I'm checking my meat, and it's pretty rare, but I think, oh, this is really rare. See how far my finger's going in there versus down here? That's how you know. I'm going to take this guy off and leave the other one on for just a second and make the dressing for my couscous. Now you want to let this sit for at least 10 minutes if you can. Into my couscous goes a half a cup of sliced scallions, a half a cup of pistachios. Now if you can't get them, you could certainly use almonds. You could leave them out. Anything. We did price this out, and we priced this at a sort of supermarket from the center part of the country. It's like every person's prices. I just want to get a fresh fork. So we know that this is, you know, under $20. All right, so there we go. We tossed it. Doesn't that look great? That looks great all by itself. Forget the meat. I rarely say something like that. Okay, in goes for our dressing. We're going to take a couple of pinches of cinnamon and 6 tablespoons of olive oil, which we've already measured, and a little bit more lemon juice. Now you notice we're using a lot of citrus tonight, which is very fresh and sort of summery. I guess it's a little warm out today. We all got excited. And I'll whisk this up just a little bit and add my oil. Here we go. And then this goes on our couscous. I'm going to add our couscous right to it. Now what I wanted to do very quickly before we go to break is show you how to start slicing the, I'm going to just put this right on top of here instead of the other way around, is show you how to start slicing the flank steak. You should let yours sit for 10 minutes always so the juices go back in. But I just want to show you just how thin to slice it so you get an idea of the portion control situation. So let me see if I can reach it. Here we go. I'm going quickly. And I'll take a call from Eddie. Hi, Eddie.
Hi, Sarah.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I was wondering if you could tell me what I could do with the leftovers of the flank steak.
Oh, they'd be great in, you know, sandwiches the next day. As long as you slice them thin like this, you could make a hash. You could cook them up with some gravy and some curry, make like a curry. You could make, you could use them in tortillas. You know, just quick reheat them or even marinate them in, say, a chipotle vinaigrette. You see how thin I'm slicing this? And notice my angle. I'm going not just down, I'm going across and down.
Right.
You could use them, you know, in some sort of southwestern preparation with some salsa and a soft taco.
Oh, yeah.
And that would all be delicious. The same way you'd use any leftover steak. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what I'm doing is you shouldn't don't slice it right away because the juices all come charging out. It will not be as pink as you want it to be, nor it will be as juicy. But I wanted to show you, if you do a portion that's that small, you can serve so many more people as long as you slice it thin. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to get this guy off. Well, it's still a little rare, but that's all right. That's for me. All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, our wine expert, Michael Green, suggests some inexpensive wines to pair with our dinner. So call in with your wine questions. Welcome back to Cooking Live. I'm here with wine and food educator and wine consultant to Gourmet Magazine. That all seems so formal. My good buddy, Michael Green.
Hi there. Good to be back.
Now, first of all, before we start talking about budget wines, what the heck is this?
This is a unique aperitif, which is based on the artichoke, and it's pronounced chinar, and you would serve it on the rocks, or you can make some unique drinks with orange juice, things like that.
Weird. Okay.
It's, by the way, I will say, it's not to my liking, but it is a very unique style of product that ties in well with our meal tonight.
Okay. Well, more to the point, I mean, this is just sort of fascinating, but is there such a thing as a budget wine?
Absolutely. In fact, the majority of wine that we as Americans consume on a regular basis is inexpensively priced, around the $10 price point. And it's becoming more and more difficult to produce a bad bottle of wine, which makes it great. Yeah. You might not necessarily like every style of wine that's out there, but it's becoming more and more difficult to produce a style of wine that's considered bad.
Bad.
So,
okay. What we got here? Take me through the rounds.
You know, I want to reinforce tonight the idea of real styles of wine that can potentially give you some good value rather than only focusing on specific brands. But the style of Chardonnay, while you can have expensive Chardonnay from parts of California and Burgundy, here we have some modestly priced Chardonnays, one from California, one from the south of France, a really interesting producer, one from the Argentine, and then a unique blend of Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc from Washington State. So again, the idea of
now, would you recognize all of these if you tasted them as a Chardonnay, or do they each have sort of a unique
It's a really good question. I think they each do have their own very unique flavor profile, but I think most of them are going to have a little bit of a buttery or traditional oaky style that we would associate with Chardonnay, with that grape.
And these you chill?
serve well chilled.
Okay. Next.
Next, moving on, there's Life Beyond Chardonnay. So we have a few products that are not based on the Chardonnay variety. This is a Sauvignon Blanc, which is traditionally regarded as a really food-friendly wine. This is a blend of certain grapes from Alsace, France, which you know I love wines from that region. And this is an aromatic blend of Gewürztraminer and Muscat from the north of Spain. Moving on.
Wait, let's slow down. So
Sure.
what price range would those all be in?
The Markham, the Sauvignon Blanc's around $12 a bottle. This is $9.99. This is around $10 a bottle. So all in that sort of $8 to $12 price point, most of the wines tonight.
Right. Okay.
And then moving on, sort of keeping with the theme tonight, a little bit Mediterranean, Northern African. There's some interesting wines with Mediterranean flavor. This one being a Tuscan Sangiovese